Hi everyone, welcome to Lisa Shoddy Kester's Wild Acorns. I usually say pottery, but I'm gonna change. I changed the name on my YouTube channel to Wild Acorns Art Studio because I've been doing other things besides just pottery. As you well know, if you've been following me for a little bit, um, and today, I was going to paint some doodle bowls today, but I forgot them at where I work, and it's locked. So I'll do this tomorrow. so, so I'm working on a little paint project today. I fell in love with, if you've been watching YouTube videos and stuff, and um, these collages, everybody's doing collages. So I have got, from my Stampin' Up days, I've got the stamps, but I'm not using those as much on this as, I don't know if you guys remember they had these big tablets of printed paper. I've got several of these things, and so I've got all this, if you can see, let me load, my table's just not big enough. Sorry about that. I'm gonna lower you down a little bit here. So I have all this paper, and I thought, it'd be fun to do some collages. I mean, there's just a ton of it. You probably still can't see it very well. Let me hold it up a little bit better. There you go. So see all the all different color printed paper. Anyway, but it's called Classic Prints Paper Pad. You can buy these at, I think I got this at Hobby Lobby. But so anyway, so I've got a bunch of those. I got tons of paper. And you know how it is if you're creative. You buy, everything in sight when you go to the hobby store. And so anyway. So, well, let me get started. Let me show you. So here's what it's going to turn out like, hopefully. This is one that I did. So what do you think? So see all the papers on there? So that's what we are doing today. So hopefully you like it. So let me set this aside. And so this is my first time videoing painting, and it's a little bit different, I realized, when I started setting it up, because usually when I film pottery, the camera's on the other side, but I've noticed a lot of painters have the camera behind them, and I'm not sure how to do that because I don't have anything behind me except the shelf. So I don't know if they wear it on their head. If you guys know, let me know, because I have been trying to figure out what's the best way to film this, and I want to film some more. I've been enjoying it, so but we'll see how this turns out, because I've got one sitting over there on the other side that I hate. I just keep looking at it and thinking, ugh. It's a much bigger one too, but this one I really like. So that's why I'm sharing this one. Let me turn you over to this. You guys have probably been wondering where I've been at. Well, let's see. Well, let me first get us started here. So you can see that's Molly sleeping over there in one of my clay boxes. So anyway, so what I did was I tore out petals of all different, styles of paper. So I just tore them out. They're white on the back. So I've got some red ones there. I tore out a whole bunch of green ones. I especially like the green with this little design in it. Those would make good leaves. So I tore out a bunch of those. I've got some stripes. don't look very exciting, do they? And then I also have some of the little flowers. They're cute. And I've had these papers for, gosh, years. And so I was inspired. Well, you know, you go on Pinterest and you're inspired by numerous people. I can't name one person, but you know, there's just so many. But anyway, so I bought a bunch of these little paints. Now I do have some of the big ones too. These are actually just by using, this is Master's Touch from Hobby Lobby, and this is the Liquitex. And I will say, just from learning, you know, and playing around with this, these are better than these. I can't really explain it. These are a little bit more pigmented. They're not as runny, and they're creamier. So, but you know, I think they cost more. I mean, this one's $6. You know, this was 82 cents. So, you know, like with anything, you kind of get what you pay for. So, I'm starting out. So, when you're doing acrylics, I've been taking some acrylic painting from a friend of mine, Maureen Bourne, and she's given me some, you know, tips and tricks on things. Check out Bourne Creations. She's a really good artist. But so I've been taking a little bit of painting from her. And anyway, so when you're doing acrylics, they tend to dry out really fast. So if you get a tray and you put paper towels underneath, okay, I don't know if you can see here. You put paper towels underneath and you wet it. And then this is just, you can use parchment paper. This is actually that deli paper. You know, they wrap your meat in when you go to the deli store for your, you know, the meat market or whatever. But you can use parchment paper. This, she gave me some of this. This is from GFS. So, but anyway, so if you put the water underneath here, it kind of dampens this, and your paints don't dry out as fast. You have a longer time to use them. So, anyway, so let's get started. So the background, this is fairly easy to do. I mean, you really can't, well, as long as you get the colors you like, you really can't mess up too much. The one that I don't like over there is mainly because the colors came out. It would probably been okay for a little girl's room. It was bright pink and bright yellow and bright purple and bright green, and I just didn't like it. And so I tried to tone it down with a brown overwash, and I think I put a little bit too much on. The brown overwash and the bright pinks and didn't mesh really well. So, anyway, so for this, you really are just painting the background. You don't want your background to overtake what you're putting on here. So you want it to be kind of bland. You want it to stay, you know, in the background, just where it's, you know, just where you want it to be. It's background for a reason. It's just to accentuate what you're putting on the front. And the color should be, you know, complementary to what you're putting on the front, obviously. So I try to put just kind of subtle colors. Now, I'm going to add a touch of brown. I don't know if it would help to put, you really can't see my colors here, can you? Let me lower you down just a little bit here. There we go. Well, I don't think there's just not enough. I'll have to figure this out. If you guys have any ideas, let me know. I just can't fit everything in the picture. So let's go ahead and get these colors on here. Like I said, this doesn't really, I do like to paint the sides. So I've got some yellow here, and I've got a little bit of brown on my brush. So if you guys are wondering where I've been, I ended up taking the month of January off just to kind of, I was, the center where I work, well, it wasn't closed, but we didn't have any classes going on. It was like in between class sessions. And I was out of town for a week. I went to Fort Myers with my son. And, but my hands have been hurting much worse than they were. And I think because I'm throwing 3 days a week. I'm going to put some greens at the bottom here. I'm going to wash my brush out. My brushes, let me add a little bit more. I'm adding some lime green here to brighten this green up. It's a little too olive. Eventually I'm going to switch over to all the Liquitex when the little ones are gone. But anyway, so my hands have been hurting more with all the throwing and everything that I'm doing. And so I took the month of January off, and I'm actually going to go see a hand surgeon this coming week and see what he says about maybe trying to get, I know I have carpal tunnel, but I also have arthritis. So I've been going to a hand surgeon off and on for years, and they keep putting me off, and you know, they've given me a brace. I had a brace for a while, but I would really like to get something taken care of if I can. I just don't know how. The healing period is like 6 weeks. That's why I probably didn't do it till last time. But painting doesn't really hurt my hands too much, so I've got a whole bunch of colors here. I think I put too much paint on my palette here. I love painting. I'm not a great painter. I will just, you know, tell you that right off the bat. I love to paint. Just like I love to grow plants. But remember how my all my plants turned out? I kill them with kindness is the problem. Remember all my air plants? I think I watered them too much. But that's all right. We just keep trying. Let's see. I've got a little bit of purple here. I like how these colors are blending. I don't know if you can see that really well. Let's see. I'll move you back just a tad here. See if you can see that. And I'll pick it up and show it to you too. I want to tone this green down here. I don't want. Remember I added some lime green, but now it's a little too limeish. I know a lot of potters do struggle with their hands. Some, you know, some don't ever have problems. I really envy them. But a lot of people have problems with their backs, so they stand and throw. I don't. I have a problem with my back, but I have the opposite. I have to sit down. I can't stand up for long periods of time. I'm getting old. Unfortunate. Well, that's a good thing. I mean, but yeah, arthritis runs in my family, so my brothers are all dealing with it too. put a little brown down here just to tone down the green a little bit. This really shouldn't take too long. I think I'm gonna actually change brushes here. This is a real wide brush. This is a really nice brush. This is one of Hobby Lobby's Master Touch. I'm gonna wet it first though. I don't want it to suck up all the paint. I'm gonna put a little bit of, there we go. Whenever I'm brushing on like this, I feel kind of like Bob Ross. You guys watch, did you ever watch Bob Ross? I love him. So I've got too much blue on here. I can tell you that right now. I need to get a little bit more, let's see, purple out. I think if I mix this blue with the pink, doesn't that make purple? I don't have enough pink. See, that blue is from the Master's Touch. So it's so pigmented that it just dominated this pink, this cheap pink from the ones that are a buck a piece. So let's see if I can't mix up a little blue and pink and make some purple. Just because I've got all this blue on my palette here, I don't want to waste that. So that's why I'm just kind of making my own purple rather than, you know, just squirting some more purple on there. I've got purple paint, but this is taking a lot of the pink pigment to turn it purple though, isn't it? So anyways, I don't know what will happen with when I see the hand surgeon. He may talk me into doing therapy and put surgery off again, which wouldn't break my heart, but kind of wanted to get it over with. Kind of get tired of the pain after a while, you know. Okay, let's see here. Is everybody getting ready for show season? It's getting to be that time of year. Think about what shows you're going to sign up for. Okay. Enough messing around with that. I need to... And of course now we need to let this dry. So... I'm going to paint these sides. Now you can use a heat gun, or I'm going to probably stop the video for a second, put it in front of my heater so you guys don't have to sit and watch paint dry. I'll be right back. All right, so I have it all dry now. So I think I'll go ahead and set aside my palette. And what I'll do is when I'm done, I'll, I don't know if I'll add more paint to it, but I'll kind of splash it with a sponge, and then I'll save these. And I've not used them yet, but like I said, my friend Maureen Bourne, she uses them as the same thing like these as petals for her paintings. She does flowers, but she does everything. But yeah, she's kind of taught me to save everything. I never think about all that, but so okay. So the next step is some Mod Podge. You guys remember this stuff, right? Okay, so I'm going to dump a little bit in this cap. Pretty much. I mean, you don't want to waste it. Now, I've added a touch of water to this, and the reason I do that is I should change my water out. The reason I do that is it kind of saturates these papers a little better, and helps them adhere to the canvas better. So, I mean, I don't add much, and I've already added a little bit of water to this already, so I'm not going to add any more. So the next step is just trying to figure out, there's, you know, what's nice about acrylic painting is if you don't like it, you can go over it. But with this, you can't. You know, once you put something in its place, it's kind of there. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is, these are kind of my favorite, these with the little flowers on them. I like those. But so you just want to figure out where you're going to put your flowers. You gotta, oh, that maybe it was a cat hair or something. You can see Molly, she's still sleeping over there. Okay, so I'm kind of thinking the same as my other painting. I'm going to put one here and one here. So to get this started, I've got my Mod Podge deck. I'm just going to paint the back of this. And sometimes you just have to go for it. If you don't like it, then you don't like it. But at some point, you just have to go for it. So I'm kind of thinking, okay, my petals are gonna, I want some petals to go over the side, but I want the most of them to be on the paper here, on the canvas. So I'm just going to give it another little layer of Mod Podge. I always call it Mod Podge. It's really Mod Podge, isn't it? Okay, so my next one's going to be, I think I'm gonna do one of these. So I'm gonna put it on the back first, and then kind of remember where my center's going to be. And I'm not putting them real close together because I'm going to put some leaves in between. So I know that ahead of time. So you do have to kind of have an idea of, you know, where your placement's going to be. And let's see. So I got to take a stripe one. And you can kind of look at them and see, you know, which way you tore them. Some fit better in a spot than others. So kind of, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a green one in here and then layer the striped one over the top. Let's see how that looks. Because I don't have a lot of room to put a leaf out here, and I really want a leaf in between here. If you add too much water, it's not going to stick, so be careful you don't add too much water to your Mod Podge. Okay, so let's go. This one's got something on it, so okay. For the big painting I did, I laid all these out first. Of course, then I turned out I still didn't like them, but you know, you're not going to like everything you do. Just as in pottery, You know, art is very subjective, and you're just, you know, not going to like everything you do. It amazes me sometimes, you know, I'll have a piece of pottery and that I just really don't like, and, you know, someone will come up and just love it, you know, so just because you don't like it doesn't mean somebody else won't. So I think I'm going to put this here. But again, I think I'm going to put a leaf behind it. So I'm going to try to find a piece of this green that's a little bit longer this time. No, I don't like that shape. See, but when you tear them out all different shapes. So I think, okay, I think I like that better. I don't like layering over this petal because I don't want to hide that petal. So let's see here. And you can add multi-layers of petals. Okay, let's put this red one on here. I hope you guys are all doing well. It's funny how, you know, once you're creative, whether you're doing pottery or art, painting, stained glass, usually, you know, if you're creative, you're doing more than one thing. Unless you're a commercial potter, or, you know, but you know, it's just, I mean, I like to sew, I like to paint, I like to, I knit a little bit, and then I was making these, all those, remember those little weaver's looms when we were kids? And you make the pot holders. So I made some of those too. only now the looms are, I use the 10-inch Pro looms from, what's that called? Loop. I don't know. You can find them on Etsy. I think I bought mine from Amazon, but they make those nice big 10-inch pot holders, and the colors are so nice today, but I'm getting off the track. But but you know, once you're creative, you like to do a lot of different things, right? So let's get back to task here. Okay. So all right. That's a pretty big leaf there. And you can re-tear them too. I think, let's see. Trying to decide, I think I'm going to put this, I think I'll put this one here. And this Mod Podge puts a nice little shine on it too. Okay, and I think I will do another one of these, since I really like, well, that one's gonna be too big because my flower down here, even though it can overlap, I don't want it to overlap too much. So I think I'll put a little bit smaller one in there. Okay, and then I'm going to try to find some little leaves. So I think I'm going to tear this a little more. Just so it fits in there a little bit better. Let's see here. I think that's good. I like that. Now you can just cut these out, and I've debated whether I should just cut them out or tear them. Tearing them kind of forces them to be a little irregular, which is what I really like. You know, if you cut them out, you could end up having them all uniform, and sometimes when things are too uniform, they become boring. So that's why I tear them out. But when I go over them with my liner, you know, you really can't tell they're really torn out. So I'm not sure if it's, I'll have to kind of play around a little more and see if it's worth it or not. I think I'm going to put this one, I think I put this one up here. Yeah, I'll put that one up there. When I first did this painting, I didn't have it lined at all, like outlined, like I do my pottery. And you know me, I looked at it, and I just didn't like it. And I thought, you know what? It just needs black liner, right? Maybe it's just wrong with my other painting. I decided the black would be too harsh, so I used another color. And yeah, it doesn't look good, so end of story. There's a little baby one here. I'm going to put this other one here, so I'm trying to think. I kind of think I'm going to put this here. Yeah, I think I'll put that there. The other day I was getting ready to paint, and my son came in and he says, "Mom, we have a problem." I said, "Oh no, what's the problem?" He said, the kitchen's flooded. I said, "What?" Yeah, so I went in my kitchen, and it was probably an inch of water in my kitchen. So, needless to say, for the next 2 hours, I spent cleaning up my kitchen. And what happened was, we didn't take the hose off the hose bib outside. And here in Cincinnati, we had a really cold winter. Well, I shouldn't say a cold winter. It went down to 1 degree for a week, and it froze inside the wall. So that when he turned on the hose outside, it filled up the kitchen. Which wasn't good. Not good at all. Do you guys find that, you know, when you're working from, if you have your pottery studio or your art studio in the house, that it's really hard to sit down and do you know, artwork of any kind, if it's not your, you know, I hate to keep saying not your job, but it's hard when, you know, you have laundry piled up, especially for, well, I shouldn't say this either, especially for a woman. I don't know, when there's laundry piled up, or bed sheets to be changed, or, you know, got to go to the grocery store, or I don't know. It just seems like there's always something that in my mind I feel like I should be doing besides playing with my art stuff. And I do sell it, so it's not like, you know, it helps pay the bills. So it's not like it's, you know, not making any money off of it, but I don't know. It's just hard to force myself to sit down and do it, because it seems like there's always something else I should be doing. So I'm thinking I'm gonna make the flower down on the bottom here a little bit smaller, because I don't want it to overcome this one too much. And it's going to. So I'm going to tear these down a little bit. And if you notice, when you tear, if you tear one way, you get a lot of white, which at first I really didn't like that. But I'm going to go over this with a little bit of a brown wash, or maybe, you know, some different colors, so it'll cover that up a little bit so that white isn't so harsh. Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to tear this one down a little bit. Yeah, I just don't want it to be too, to cover up the other one too much. I think I had a pretty small one here, probably. And the canvases, I just bought, I think there's like 7 of them for $14, so they're like $2 a piece. So it's not, you know, it's not, they're not expensive at all either. Okay, so I'm going to take some of these, the green ones too, some of these leaves, and kind of tear them down a little bit. Sorry, this is probably really boring at this point. But you heard about my flooded kitchen. Do you guys have art projects too? I just saw Audrey Lynn, who I know some of you follow. She just posted some watercolors, and I've been doing watercolors too. It's hard to go from watercolors to acrylics though. Watercolors, there's no forgiving. If you if you make a mistake with that, it's much harder to fix. With acrylics, if you don't like it, for the most part, you can, you know, paint over the top. Unless you got a big giant one sitting over there. But you've painted over too many times already. Okay, let's get back to our project here. Okay, so even placing these, I'm not going to place this on this flower. Okay, I'm not going to place this one right next to this one. So think about your placement of your tissues, of your printed paper, whatever you are using for your petals. Like I said, you can use, you know, you can take these, smear them all up, and use these. In fact, they're kind of pretty because you can kind of see through them. They're translucent. So, and then my friend gave me a jelly plate to try to make more of my own. I painted a whole bunch of my own, and that's what those are in the other painting. Some of my own designs, but I really don't like the colors that I got, so it's another project. Okay, so I think I'm going to start out with a red one here. Think about, again, where your center is going to be of your flower. So I think my center is going to be, I think, right about here. Yeah, so if any of you live in a cold area and you didn't unhook your hose, I kind of think I did, but we hooked it. I have a big aquarium, and I mean, I'm usually pretty good about unhooking the hose, but I have a feeling that when I was cleaning out my aquarium, I probably hooked that hose back up and forgot to unhook it again, which is not good. I have I guess it's about 80-gallon aquarium that I have in my living room. I love just sitting watching the fish. It's so relaxing. Hope you guys can see this. Okay, my fingers keep getting sticky, so I keep wiping them off. That's the only bad thing about working with the Mod Podge. Okay, so let's see. I got a red one there, so I think I'm going to put another red one over here. And you could just paint it on here and then lay it on. Your fingers probably wouldn't get as gooky. Okay, and then I think I'm going to do one more petal, and then I'm going to add the leaves. So when I started out doing this, I kind of thought, you know, it kind of resembled my doodle bowls. And so, because I want to try to stay true to my style. You know, like I said, you get inspired by everybody on Pinterest, and I mean, watercolors, and gosh, I get my ideas from like fabric that you see on bed sheets and magazines, and fabric on couches, and curtains, and everywhere. I mean, you know, we are inspired by so many different things. It's very easy to let those things alter your style, and you have to be careful that you're not losing who you are and who you want to be. You know, you want, and it takes a while sometimes to figure out what your style is. You know, you want somebody to see your work and say, "Oh, I knew that was yours. The minute I walked up to your booth, I knew that was yours." And I've had that happen, and it was so surprised when the first person said that to me. I said, "Really? You know, I didn't realize, you know, I'd had a style." And they're like, "Well, yeah." And so that was kind of surprising to me. So that really made me think, what is my style? And so I've come to realize that I think my style is like kind of like the doodling, you know, like very free flowing. I mean, I could not sit and paint a portrait of somebody. That is not my style. I just don't have. I don't know. I can't sit. I don't know if I can't concentrate that long or sit still that long. Sometimes I swear I have ADHD. I see people, you know, even in my pottery class, who make some of these beautiful things. We've got such a talented group of people, and they work on them and work on them, and you know. And when I'm doing things, I want to be done with it. I want to make what I want to make and be done. I don't want to work on it for weeks on end. And some people do. They just, you know, their stuff is beautiful, but Mine is more obviously relaxed. Um, that's what I like. But I would say if you're going to do a painting like this, you know, just take cheap paper. It can be, like I said, that deli paper. It can be, you know, like I wouldn't use a real thick paper. I'd use any kind of even cheap sketch paper, and just put a bunch of colors on it. You can either print designs or you can just put a bunch of colors on it. You know, and then you can go back with magic markers on there, or paint dots, or stamps, or just let your creative mind, you know, do whatever. Think about the colors you want to use, um, and go by the colors you want to use. Because that was one thing that I should have concentrated more. I'll show you the papers that I made. These are printed. I bought these. Now, I would like to, you know, focus more on making my own, because something I didn't think about, and my friend was telling me this too. She said, you know, when you're buying these printed papers, if you're going to sell your work, you're basically selling somebody else's design. And you know, I never really thought about that, but you are kind of, you know. Of course, I've altered them a lot, so it is still my work, but just something, you know, something else to think about. Okay, so let's put a center in here. I also painted, so this, I just tore out, I have an old book, and then I painted it with some paint. And these are going to be my stems. I'm going to tear this one a little bit so it fits up in here. I think I'm going to put that one there. And I'll hold this up again. I know you guys don't have the best view. See, these are a little bit more. Well, this one's got a sharp edge. I don't like that. This is a little thick. So I'm gonna tear it down a little bit. I'm gonna make it a little bit thinner. I think it's a little bit thick. So I'm also going to do a video on using sodium silicate on pots. I don't know if you guys, I know some of you have probably, I'm sure some of you have used that. But the company sent me a jar of it to try. And so I'm going to give it a whirl. We've been having fun with it at my pottery class. Everybody's been trying it, and it's you know what makes your pots crackle when you bow them out to make like a vase. So it's a fun little thing to try. So that'll be my next video, and then tomorrow I will be painting doodle bowls. I got a couple of doodle bowls I gotta paint. Hopefully I won't forget them at work again. Well, I'm gonna go down and get them tomorrow morning. Get back to pottery. Let's see. That's way too big. So I'll just tear that down a little bit. I don't really like that real white edge there. So I'm going to tear some of that off. It's Sunday here today. I'm working on this. I hope I get the video posted tonight. I'll have to piece it together. I think that looks pretty good. And let's just stick it down like that. There we go. I hope you guys like this project. Let me know what you think. If you want to see more or less. I also am going to do a video on making the frames. Everybody's been asking me to show them how I do the stained glass in the ceramic frames. So I'm going to do a video on that also. The problem with that is me trying to figure out, there's so many steps and it takes so long to do that. So I think what I'll probably have to do is do it in like maybe a 3 or 4 part series, because the videos would be hours and hours long. Anybody who does stained glass knows how long it takes. I don't know, is that too big? I think it's a little big. I'm going to tear it down a little bit more. And I don't worry about getting them perfectly round. There, I think that's good. It's a little bit smaller. And on my other one, I didn't add any little leaves down here, but I think I'm going to on this one. Yeah. I think I'm going to on this one. I think that would look good. Okay. I don't know how long we're taking. Sometimes I gotta be careful. Oh, it's only a half hour. That's not bad. Sometimes they'll kick you off. Like if you go over an hour. I don't know why, but I don't know if it's the settings in the phone or, which I guess it, would make sense. There we go. Okay, so now, and I'll hold this up to show it to you guys too. Molly's being such a good girl over there sleeping. She was trying to get my brushes before. I had to shoo her out of here. Surprised Millie's not in here. Millie's the one who likes to come in and really bug me. But she must be taking a nap. I'm trying to get this cat hair out of there. Oh, cat hairs everywhere. There's something so relaxing about painting. I was telling you before how I used to love to watch Bob Ross. Gosh, if you couldn't sleep at night, just turn on Bob Ross. And he'll put you right to sleep. I'm trying to think, one of his paintings just sold for, a lot of money. But a friend of mine watched a documentary on that, and they said unfortunately his family didn't get a lot of that, which is a shame. I don't know if it didn't really work. I was hoping to, I was going to try to lift this up over the top of that piece, but it's not going to work. But no matter. No matter, we'll make it work anyway. There we go. I like that. So let's put a little more Mod. And you don't use much of the Mod Podge, as you can tell. So don't, you know, that's how I ended up with water already in it from before, because I dumped some back into the container and I had already had it watered down a little bit. I'm going to tear off the bottom of that under part of leaf. I really don't want it hanging out. Okay. There we go. Just looks a little bit more finished. Okay, so let me try to think if I'm forgetting anything, because so I'm going to set this aside. See how I did that on that paper? I just took a piece of book out and just ripped the page out and just colored it painted it with some watered down. I almost said underglazes with acrylics. Just watered it down a little bit. So let's set that aside. Put my brush in here so it doesn't get hard. That's one thing with acrylics too, you know, with watercolor or underglazes, your brush, it's water soluble. Okay, so here's what we have so far. So this is how I started. I ended it with my last one, and I just did not like that. It just looked unfinished. So now I'm going to add a little bit of color to the brightness of the leaves and tone it down just a little bit. So I'm going to take, put water on this brush. Okay, and I have a little bit of orange here and a little bit of brown. So the orange and the brown. And I'm going to just kind of water down that orange a little bit. I'm going to take a little bit of the brown. And let's see, maybe I'll take a little bit more. Okay, and I'm going to add a bunch of water because I'm not painting over this. I just want to tone it down a little bit. See, I'm going to hold this up for you because I really want you to see this, what is happening. You're almost like antiquing it. See what's happening here in those petals? It's just toning down the whites. And that's kind of what I was trying to do on my other one. It did not work so well. I'm going to add a little bit more water to the orange and the brown. I'm even going to go over this red. See that? How it just really, it almost looks like it unifies all the different colors together. And see how this white, remember this white edges I was telling you about? It gets rid of those. And don't forget to do the sides. In fact, hold on. I gotta get a little touch of Mod Podge here. And make sure these hook on here. Make sure these are attached. I can come back later and do that though. Okay. Yeah, just make sure everything's attached. Got one over here. That one looks pretty attached. Okay. But, so wherever these whites are, and at first I really didn't know if this would go through the Mod Podge. That's so hard to say, Mod Podge. But it does work very nicely over the top of it. So I'm just toning down the whites. Be careful you don't put too much on. And also, try to keep your papers from wrinkling. Okay, so that's what we're looking at so far. Try to make sure there's not a glare on there. So I'll hold it up close. So we have to let this dry. So I'm going to put this in front of the heater, and then we're going to come back. Make sure your petals are down tight, okay? Because we will come back with more Mod Podge, but we want them to be very secure before we dry this. So, well, hang on. Let me turn my heater on here. I have a little second. I can talk to you while I'm doing this. I have a little heater over here because I'm a freeze cat. So I also have been cleaning my studio. This doesn't look too. This is like the messiest part though. But and of course, you know your studio's always gonna be messy. But look at over here. So I went over to Hobby Lobby and see all those buckets. So they all have. There's rows down, and I'm gonna probably snap that. I don't want to snap my camera off, but there's rows up above too. But they have each basket has, like this one has. This is all my acrylic stuff. Then one has papers in it for watercolor. One has alcohol inks in it. One has watercolors in it because I do alcohol inks too. I've got my alcohol inks, my watercolor, my acrylics. I've even got one with fabric in it. And that's another thing. I haven't even tried to do fabric yet, but I thought about gosh, if you went to the fabric store, they would hate you if you got little samples of everything. A yard of this and a yard of that, a yard of that. But that's something else I might try too. But you wouldn't use paper Mod Podge. You would use the fabric Mod Podge. So, so that's something too to use as the petals. Cut them out and just use the fabrics. I mean, it's just, you know, it's endless. It's endless. Let me, this is almost, yeah, that's almost dry. Let me show you some of the papers that I did real quick. Oh, I got too much stuff around here. Seriously. But we all do, right? Okay. I'll share with you while this is drying. It's almost dry already. Okay, I think that's almost dry. But real quick, I'll show you. So I took a bunch of these are just old sketchbook papers. And so what I did was I just painted them. You know, see how they're back? I painted with all these different colors. And then I stamped them. And then I took markers and drew on them. And so I've got that. And just my green one. And what I was doing when I was making these is kind of thinking that they'll all be together, except for this one. I don't know how that ended up in there, um, but my thought was that this one actually is kind of cute. It's got little fish in it. That they would look good all together. But I don't know what I did wrong. It didn't turn out quite like I planned. And see, I just tore out a whole bunch of leaves of those too, petals, I should say. All the petals, and then put them together. But I haven't given up on that. I'm gonna play around with these a little bit more. That'll be another project. So my husband goes to the thrift store and buys. Now this one is new, but he goes to the thrift store and gets old canvases, and then you can just paint over them. And a lot of them have really nice frames. Let's see. Let me find my marker. So now I'm going to put, and of course, you know, when you get addicted to the Posco markers. Gosh. Oh. You guys know it's real. You get so addicted to all this stuff. Let's see. So I'm looking for one that has a nice sharp tip. I usually buy these little Sharpies in like the 10-pack. This one's pretty sharp. I think this one will be okay. I tried a thinner one, and it you don't want it too thick. You don't want the black to overtake your painting. So I do have a thinner one, but I've tried that before, and it just wasn't quite dark enough. So I'm gonna lay one out here in case this thick one doesn't work. Okay, so now there we go. What I'll try to do is turn it a little bit like that. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to loosely outline these. And I'm not pressing very hard at all. And by not pressing hard, you're not going to get a real thick line either. Okay. To me, this is kind of, well, it's all fun, but it's kind of like when you're doing pottery and you're outlining your underglazes. It kind of is what makes it pop. I was so afraid to do this the first time with the other painting. But gosh, it really does make a difference. And, you know, don't be afraid to try stuff. If it doesn't turn out, you know, you can always donate it to the trash man, right? Oh. And so if your petals wrap around the side, don't forget to go all the way around the side. Continue that detail. to really look and make sure I didn't forget anything. And then, of course, you had your little, these are kind of like circles, dots, fun little markings. This is kind of reminds me of the doodling that I do on my pottery. And it's good too sometimes to step back and take a look. Alright, so let's go with this one over here. We're going to draw around here. I might get my big fat head in the way. Sorry about that if I am. I'll have to. Let me go back over the top here and continue that. I'm thinking about changing my Etsy site to Shopify. Does anybody have a Shopify account? I used to have one years ago, and I think back then I paid like $30 a month. But the problem with Shopify is that you have to draw your own traffic there. You don't have anybody going to the Shopify and doing a Google search for something, whereas with Etsy, you do. So that's what's holding me back. Etsy keeps changing policies. They want you to do free shipping or they won't promote your work. And once you get somebody to your site, to your shop on Etsy, they advertise other people's work on your shop, which really made people angry at first. Now I think people are kind of getting used to it because they feel like, well, their stuff's getting hopefully shown on other people's sites too. But it's if you've worked really hard to draw people to your site, it's kind of disconcerting that they're using it for the sake of others too. And their fees are higher now. Their fees used to be like 3.5%. And I think their fees they're like double that or more. I was really surprised how that works. I don't sell a lot of stuff on Etsy just because, pottery's heavy. Now, if I made just mugs, which I may end up doing down the line, the smaller stuff is easier on my hands to make. Let me go around the edge here, and I'm even going to go around the back, but this is not... I know you probably can't see that, but I'm just going around the back here a little bit. I'll go back with the Mod Podge, and it's basically like watered down glue. And I'll make sure that's stuck down there. Okay, so now, just almost done here. Kind of pay attention to Almost went off a line there, went over the top of a petal. But these are just little circles, you know, dots, circles, just to try to add some interest, you know, around these petals. Oh, I missed one here. See? It's easy to miss them. I was going to start this video last night, and it just felt like it was getting too dark in here. My lighting is terrible. Gosh, I wish I had a studio with really good lights, but I've got these old floor lights here, and they, you know, they work okay for the daytime. But I don't know. The older I get, the harder it is for me to see when it gets dark out. In low light, you know. Okay. No, let me. I feel like I should do more, but you know, it's hard to know when to stop. So there we go. I think I'm done. Let me just look at it here. I feel like there's a harsh line here I have to kind of go over. I don't really want to see a circle, just like a circle here. I want to soften up the edges. That's about done. I'm going to put my name Lisa on the bottom. Let's see here. I think that's good. Unless I notice I forgot something. There we go. Can you guys see that? Pretty good. Put it back so you can see the whole thing. So what do you think? I like it. So I think I've covered everything. If I have forgotten something and you guys want to know what it is, if you have a question, just let me know. Like I said, this is the first. I think I got a glare. That's a glare in my face. This is the first, you know, video that I've done of any of my artwork. So let me know what you think. I might do some watercolors. I've got a whole little sketchbook of watercolors. They're fun to do. And like I said, I'm going to do some of the stained glass. I want to cut out the frames. I'll show you how I cut out the frames. And then that will probably be one little class. Although that's pretty easy. It's pretty short. But then maybe I'll add the glazing of them and the nichrome. Actually, the original ones I put nichrome wire in, and that's why I did not make a video of those, because I've decided not to use the nichrome wire in my ceramic frames anymore. That's a whole, I'm getting off the subject, aren't I? You know, pottery's deep in my blood, right? But anyway, so if you have any questions about this, like I said, it's just endless to have fun, you know, making these. And I hope you enjoyed that. And it was good seeing everybody again. Not seeing actually, but you know, hearing, I'm sure I'll hear from people, see what you think. But it was good touching base again. And I will be doing another video, like I said. Stay tuned for the sodium silicate one and the doodle bowls tomorrow. So hope I'll get this uploaded in just a few minutes. So Thank you and have a great evening. Hope you had a great weekend, and thanks for watching. And if you want to stay up to date with what I have, the videos have coming out, just make sure you hit subscribe, and then you'll be notified when I have a video. Thanks.